emotion. So what's the point? Soldier, I'm in soldier. Out in the world, my body's so eternal. Soldier, I'm in soldier. But in the world, my body's so eternal.
By the power of honor, we embody the honor beings, moving in the future with a mind of clarity as we align. So just lay down, law and order. Building a foundation with the bright four corners, masterminds, speaking life. Souls appear fire. We only here to manifest the truth. Mind power, channel mind is a deadly weapon. Thoughts of transmission, equal fully loaded ammunition. Soldier, I'm in soldier. I'm in soldier. I'm in soldier. Soldier, I'm in soldier. But in the world, my body's so eternal. Soldier, I'm in soldier. But in the world, my body's so eternal.
I'm ready.
I'ma restore the mind back so that the bank won't have to think black. Grace and device come with separation and honor the trust, so we're not looking for reparation. Clarity equals transition when we lift the blank time breaks our soul sinking. The eternally high. That unrefined power, 144,000 will rise. While the black race stand in this state, the bright race stay alive, and you know why? Yeah, cause we came on to the most high, yes, we came on to the most high, and that's
the bright race of reality, we are here, raising up our community, no fear. Solar power is flowing through the atmosphere. It's only right we resound and channel out of here. There's no helping the black race, they all did. Marginalizing the beast in the forehead. There's no turning us back, we focus forward now. Our only focus is on it, we will never bow. Yes, we're taking this over, this is our pledge. Our only focus is on it, we are privileged. The bright must never play games, power don't play. We focus on honest work, seeking a brighter day. We all give it this power, we don't look back. The ones really get vomit will never fade to black.
All right. We are back. We live again. I'm the intellectual Nuben Menkares, and this is High and Mighty Talks with me, Nuben Menkares. And for those of you who are just tuning in, share. Subscribe, share, because this is the only place where you're going to get the realest talk, the realest talk. This talk here and what I give y'all is so real. This is why, YouTube ain't gonna let me get over 1,000 views at a time. And they algorithms and things like that. I don't do this for monetization, even though after 1,000 people I could get monetization, but I don't do it for the monetization. I do it for truth's sake. I do it for the sake of the truth. I'm not knocking nobody for those who do it for the money, for the monetization. I do it, just, because I want to wake up the intelligent ones of my people. I want to bring them to a higher state of enlightenment, which I say is beyond enlightenment, enlightenment, pure illumination. That's what I offer in these high and mighty talks. Only for the intelligent ones of my people, the bright ones of my people. I said this before and I said this again. I don't do casts for black people. I don't do casts for white people. I don't do casts for any of those designated things. I do it for intelligent people. Intelligent people. I don't care if you have You know, I don't care who and what you are. If you have any form of, any sense of intelligence, any type of smarts about you, and you appreciate intelligence. You know, if you appreciate that, then you will appreciate, you know, my perspective and my point of view, which I only use logical and rational sense and thinking in the delivery of my message, which is always going to be Mentellect, which is always going to be American Intelligence Mentellect. So before we start, I want to start off always in the name of Amen, the Supreme, the All-Powerful, the one and only true Lord. In Amen we trust, in Amen we think, and in Amen we continue forward forever. So I'm going to get right to it. The beginning topic, those of you like this, shirt, this is an Underlord exclusive from my company Underlord. This is the serpentine symbol, you know, everything. Well, I'll get into that in a second. Yeah. So first I want to talk about pyramids in America. Why the pyramids? You know, we got over 2,000 pyramids here in America, yet why is attention always diverted to ancient Egypt or Egypt? Why is attention diverted to Egypt instead of where people should be going to see the pyramids? Because in America, South and Central America, Yucatan, all these places, these are places where the Mesoamericans, our ancestors, so people who are falsely being called Black and African American, built these pyramids. And pyramids, as I said before in my broadcast, is a sign of civilization. When you see pyramids like that, and you know, when you see all those buildings and things like that, and it wasn't just pyramids, it was other monolithic, you know, I forget the word they use, megalithic or whatever, huge structures. I think it was the word megalithic. I'm sorry, not monolithic, see, megalithic. You know, I heard that term before. I don't want to butcher the word or sound crazy, but you know, huge edifices and structures that denote a civilization. We got over 2,000 pyramids here in America. So why is everybody focused on the little 255 pyramids in Egypt and Nubia and things like that? Which I'm not taking anything from Nubia and Egypt, but it costs a lot less to go to South and Central America to see what our ancestors built there, as opposed to going over to another part where these Arabs are now, and they're sitting here basically trying to vulture our culture. They're sitting here trying to claim that they're the ancient Egyptians and that they built the pyramids. And these people are a bunch of Arabs who came in and brought Islam, right, which was a pagan religion. They brought that into Egypt. The ancient Kemetic people, the ancient Kemites, did not practice Islam. So I don't know what they talking about. Yeah, everybody wants to vulture off of our culture, which I'm going to get into in a second. But it's no different when Kevin Hart was saying that, you know, he was speaking the truth. He said the ancient Egyptians were so-called Black people. They were really our people here in the Americas. He said they were so-called Black people. And the Arabs over there got really salty about it. They got really mad, really pissy about it for him speaking the truth. What is it with people trying to deny us our greatness? What is it with these racists who want to take our culture, who want to vulture our culture and deny our greatness simply because they want to take credit for what we did? Because truth be told, you know, if you have a culture of your own, if you really have a culture of your own, why would you want to try and take somebody else's? Why would you want to try and take credit for people who you could clearly see are not you on the wall? You could see the complexions, the hairstyles. You could tell these people got naturals and whatnot, what y'all would call afros and braids, and have bronze, copper-colored skin and dark bronze skin and whatnot. You could clearly see these are our people. And when I say our people, I'm not talking about African, like the tribal African. I'm talking about the American, the ancient American people. Because I said this before, the pyramid culture was brought into Egypt and Nubia from America. Okay? That's why you have so many pyramids on this side. The so-called, the people who built these pyramids on this side was our people. Those civilizations, the Olmecs, the Aztec, the Inca, the Mayan. These are the people and all the other tribes that made their way into North America to make up the first indigenous tribes of people here. which were your Mayans and your Aztec who made their way into America. These are the first that are only real Americans. These are only people who are indigenous to America, which we, if you are so-called Black American, American Negro, your family go back past civil rights and all that, then come from off no boat nowhere or no plane nowhere, wherever they bring you from. If your family was here, then you are descendants of those people, man. We are descendants of those people. We are the real American indigenous people. Y'all been hearing me say that. And to have people sit up here and deny our greatness, our culture, our heritage, because they want to take credit for it, because they want to keep pushing this lie that we came from some West Africa somewhere and that we connected to West Africa. That's a bunch of lies from these Caucasians, man. That's been debunked already. There was nobody in West Africa. There was no African slave trade here, not of any real significance, because I've been debunked that. You had Caucasian here who was indentured service, which was another man saying slave. But back to the original point, why is American history, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and the people who are not even American, they're Europeans, who came into America and set up a corporation called the United States of America, which was set to take the resources from the American landscape, which is the indigenous people's land, our land. They just came in and brought in the United States, which is a corporation, to rape the lands of America. That's all from the indigenous people. Take their land, take the resources from this land. That's all they did. So they didn't set up a country here. They set up a corporation here. Okay? The United States is a corporation. It is not a country. America is the country that the United States takes natural resources from. Okay? This is a corporation that is overseeing the American landscape, forced its way in, took the land, robbed the land from the native people, the indigenous, not the native people. I want to make the distinction between that. The indigenous people, the Niji, as they say, and took their land and divided it, under governmental policy. I don't want to even call it law, because what they did was not lawful at all. It was very unlawful. It was a bunch of trickery and thievery. The same thing that these people put you in jail for today, this government puts you in jail for, they did the same thing to found this country. They stole land from people. They killed people. They allowed people to be enslaved. They theft, they allowed trafficking of people here. So again, the very things that they hypocritically sit up here and talk about, in God we trust, and build a so-called justice system on, they did that to start this country. So you can't build a country or found a country based in rape, rob, and murder, right? Which is what this government did, rape, rob, and murder, or allowed people to do that to set this government up, and then talk about, how you are the beacon of justice here. Come on, man. Your foundation doesn't support justice or pure or real judgment or righteousness. It doesn't. So you're a hypocrite in saying that. But anyway, the American pyramids are not talked about here. Why? You know why? Because the white man don't have a story for the American pyramids. He don't have a story where he can try to put other people in those places there. So they talk very little about that. Whenever they're not talking about something as colossal as these pyramids, and I'm talking about these are pyramids here in America that denote civilizations that were left behind. The reason why you don't hear much about the Olmecs, the Aztec, and all these other people, because they have clear evidence that these are so-called black people. These are black people, so-called black people. The copper-colored people, the copper-colored races that were here in America, found by the Europeans when they came here. So they don't talk about America. They don't talk about the pyramids here in America, because then they would have to admit that the people who were being called or being designated as Native Americans did not build those pyramids. And they didn't. Those pyramids predate them. Those pyramids predate these Mongoloid people who were calling themselves Indians and these other people. Now they're trying to make specials, but they're trying to give these people credit, basically trying to erase the bronze copper-colored people, which you can clearly see on the Bonaparte temples, the people who built these things, who built these edifices, who lived in these cities, who had these civilizations. You could clearly see these are so-called black people, and we are their descendants here today. We didn't come from Africa. We were already here in America, and, talking about really going into depth about the American pyramids, it would be too much controversy. It would be too much controversy. They would have to admit that No, the people who are claiming to be Native American are not indigenous to America at all. They are the second round of people that came here. Because, and I was going to talk about this, and I might as well just bring it out. You know, why the United States government classified our people as Negroes and mulattoes, who the real people who are the American indigenous people. Why did they classify us as that? Answer: because Caucasian Europeans who were coming over here, as they were starting to overtake America and whatnot and set up their U.S. corporation here and spread out and bring more Europeans here, as they were doing that, they decided that they were going to be the Americans. They were going to be the Americans, and they had to fabricate a false narrative in order to make it seem as though they are the founding fathers of this society, that they have founded a society when they didn't. They didn't found anything. There was already a country here in America here. There was already an American people here. There were already an American people here. You don't believe what I'm saying? Look at the 1828 Merriam-Webster Dictionary of the word American, the meaning of the word American. It tells you that it was a copper-colored race of people here in America that the Europeans came and found, and they absorbed the name America from them and replaced them. But the people who were the copper-colored races, who were known as the Aboriginal, the original people, the original Americans here, that's our people they're talking about. They're not talking about the people who are calling themselves Native Americans today. They're not. And I'm going to get on them in a second too. They're not talking about them. They're talking about us. And again, there's plenty of images, journals, pictures, things that go back in the 13, 14, 1500, which a lot of people don't want to address. They don't want to address that for a reason. They don't want to address it because it can't be debunked. It's no conjecture for it. You see, there's no conjecture for it. Again, they don't want to talk about the American pyramids because it opens up a big can of worms on who built those civilizations. Because you already know what's next is, well, who built these civilizations? Who built these pyramids? You already see the white man trying to take credit for what the ancient Egyptians did, or these Arabs trying to take credit for it, which is a lie. So you already know they would have to start lying about the so-called Native Americans being the people who built those pyramids, that their ancestors built them, which again is a lie. They know it's a lie. That's just their way of trying to erase us out of history, because the narrative they want to tell is that we came from Africa on slave ships. The end. We came from West Africa on slave ships. The end. And I'm going to say this to you so-called Native Americans, right? You so-called Native Americans who are really Asians. Let's just keep it real, because the so-called Native Americans, when you look up what the blood or the blood type or the genotype of what they consider to be Native American blood, they consider is, I'm talking about the government now, what they call Native American blood is Asian blood. That's Mongolian blood. Those are the Asians. Why is it that you so-called Native Americans never want to admit that you are connected to Mongolia? You never want to admit your Asian heritage. You claim that we are ashamed of our African heritage, which we don't have, and we can prove that. Why y'all ashamed of your Mongolian heritage? If you want to get up here and tell us, oh, why y'all Africans, y'all need to just be who y'all are and whatnot. First and foremost, we never said we was African. The white man called us African, but y'all seem to be, you so-called Native Americans who are nothing but Caucasians and Asians mixed, who come from Europe and Asia. So you can't be native to America if you come from someplace else. If they can trace you back to Europe and Asia, which they already did already. Plenty of receipts out there that you so-called natives are either going to be traced back to Asian. You people who are calling yourself Native Americans today, you're either going to be traced back to an Asian bloodline from the Mongolian, crossing the Bering Straits, crossing that bridge and coming in here. You're either going to be traced back to that, or you're going to be traced back to Europe. Because you had a lot of $5 Caucasian Indians who was coming over here starting that Native American nonsense, which again, the terminology is made up by the white man, which shows me how hypocritical and phony y'all are, because you claim that the white man took everything from you. You so-called Native Americans, you claim the white man took everything from you. So then, you know, why is it hard for you to believe that they also robbed our people? They robbed us of our identity. All of a sudden, you believe the so-called white man when it comes to him telling you that y'all could be the Native Americans. But then when we coming out with receipts that we're the real indigenous people of America, that we didn't come from no Africa, y'all don't want to hear that. And y'all don't even come up with no real argument to debate that. You so-called natives don't come up. I've been seeing your little videos where you guys are going in on bronze people who are coming out and saying they're American indigenous people, that we the real American Indians. And you seeing the racism and the hatred come out of you so-called natives. I'm hearing, oh, you African, this. Y'all starting to sound like Caucasians. Y'all starting to sound like racist Caucasians. A lot of you natives, you so-called Native Americans are starting to sound just like racist Caucasians when it comes to so-called black people finding out the truth about their American indigenous heritage, and that our American indigenous heritage did not come from you, did not come through you, didn't come through no mixing of our lineage with yours. It was the other way around. We were already American indigenous people before y'all got over here from Mongolia. Let's set the goddamn record straight if we're going to set the record straight. We was already here in America. You came over here and mixed with us. You adopted our customs. You adopted our rituals. So don't come up here talking this nonsense about, well, if y'all so-called American Indians, why you don't know the dances and the rituals? First of all, we don't need to know y'all version of our things. Our rituals and our customs is in our music. The blues, that's American Indian music. The blues meaning our music. Blues, jazz, soul, R&B, our music. That's our hip hop. That's all our rap music. That's all our music right there. Our dances is whatever dances we made up to the general public. Because again, our culture, our popular culture, our style, and as they say, swag, the young kids say, dominates America and the world. That goes without saying. Y'all supposed to be indigenous to this land, supposedly. You supposed to be indigenous to the land, but don't nobody know nothing about you. Don't nobody know nothing about y'all customs and dances. Y'all claim that y'all was the first people here and y'all was here for so long. Then where's your influence at? You mean to tell me we came from Africa 500 years ago and we got, as y'all claim, which is a lie, we came from Africa 400 or 500 years ago, and how we got more influence than y'all and the white man? How we got more influence and popular culture than you and the white man? How that happened? Because see, the white man had to sit up here and reclassify us as African American, and don't lie and sit up here and don't say y'all don't know that history, because you can easily find that history where these Caucasian, the government here, the Caucasian government, which y'all claim took all y'all land, yet y'all got Caucasians living on the reservation. Y'all got straight up $5 Caucasian pretendian Indians living on it. Even Donald Trump said that. He was like, well, look, I went to that. He said he went to some reservation somewhere. He said the people on the reservation don't look like no Indians. So you know what that means. And so he talking about a lot of y'all are like a bunch of Caucasians and Asians. You see, he wasn't talking about no black people there, because we already know y'all racist against so-called black people. You made sure you kicked them out of the tribe right after George Bush gave y'all all that money back in, I think it was George Bush Jr., whoever, he gave y'all all that money. The government gave y'all all that money. Then immediately y'all started kicking all the so-called black people out of the tribes, which I don't know why the hell black people want to get with y'all in the first place. But my point is that you'll sit here and act like, that everybody was classified. Even that term Native American that y'all hold on to so much came from the white man. That came from the white man, just like African American. Duh. But all of a sudden, y'all want to hold on to that, because the reason why y'all want to believe that and hold on to that is because y'all felt good. And this is another reason why you're getting real pissy with our people who waking up and finding out who we are as the American indigenous people. The reason why y'all getting so pissed off and angry and everything is because up until this time, for the longest time, y'all went unchallenged in this whole thing that y'all was the Native Americans. Y'all was feeling yourself. You had the culture. You was practicing all the stuff that we left behind, that we had stripped from us, that we had people coming to us and pulling guns on us, killing our people for saying we was American Indian. I'm talking about the white U.S. government here, the Caucasian U.S. government here did that to our people. But you don't talk about that. You sit up here and talk about, oh, they allowed us to be, they allowed y'all, because when the sister brought out that thing about how y'all claim this is y'all land, you so-called natives claim it's your land, but why is it that you had to learn how to farm land in your own land? Why would you have, how is it that the so-called blacks, the Africans knew how to farm the land here better than the Caucasians and y'all? How is it that y'all had to have schools to learn how to farm on land that's supposed to be indigenous to you? And then this guy gave this lame excuse. One of these natives, these fake natives gave this long excuse about, well, because, you had to be considered human in order if you had to farm and all that. He came with some nonsense that didn't even make sense to the answer. Because again, what is you being human, being classified as human, a human being got to do with you having that natural skill to farm the land? She brought up the point. You just totally negated the point that she was trying to say that y'all supposed to know how to farm the land if you're indigenous to this land. And y'all didn't know how to farm this land. That's why you had to have schools to teach natives how to farm the land. Now, how is it that you have to learn how to farm land that you're indigenous to? How is it that the so-called black people who you claim is not indigenous to this land knew how to farm the land? Because you do know the reason why the slaves, our people, were valuable is because we not only picked cotton, we grew it. We grew the crops. You have plenty of slave masters that tell you, the slaves were allowed to grow their own crops. So the white man didn't teach us how to grow anything. How he going to teach us how to grow anything? He couldn't grow nothing in Europe. He could barely grow anything in Europe. You see, that soil over there in Europe is full of sulfur. They can't even grow nothing over there like that. You see, so when they came over here to rich soil and whatnot, they lost their mind. They seen cotton and all this other stuff that could be used, all this stuff. They started using the resources. So again, and then the so-called white man allowed a lot of you red Mongoloid Indians, so-called Indians, to own our people. How is it that you allowed to own our people, yet y'all claim y'all was so downtrodden and, they let you own our people and y'all owned our people. And the fact that y'all didn't even want to release some of our people when slavery officially ended, they paid you for owning our people. The only people that didn't get paid for building this country and the only people that did build this country was our people. The only people who were never compensated for it was our people. And that's what the whole reparations claim is about. Y'all get reparations for what? I have no idea. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know why y'all get reparations. Because y'all wasn't even using the land. According to y'all didn't even believe in owning land. All y'all did was just move from one camping ground to another camping ground to another camping ground. Never did you have any place anywhere where you were farming land, building. It is not recorded anywhere. And again, this ain't no shot at y'all. We just being truthful here. For truth's sake. Since y'all want to sit up here and beat on your chest and be so, entitled and telling us who we are, we're going to tell you who you actually are. You see, it goes both ways. Since you want to lie and say who we are, we got receipts on who we are, and we got receipts on who y'all really are. So, man, check out this other stuff I want to touch on. Make sure I'm touching on everything. So, my point to this, they're not trying to, again, they're not, why are these people so hung up on ancient Egypt and the pyramids in ancient Egypt, and we got all of these pyramids here in America? Why are we not going on trips to South and Central America, even though I wouldn't advise in a lot of these so-called Latin countries? Because a lot of these people in these Latin countries, you might turn up missing a lot of these places, a lot of racism and stuff going on over there. So, I was planning at one time. We was planning at one time going over there. Some of my people, we wanted to see the pyramids over there, But then you could also see the mounds here in North America. Our people built the mounds here, the mound cities and stuff. We have whole civilizations over here in this part, right here in North America. And places down south, and places Illinois, and places like that, where our people have mound cities where they don't tell you about. How is that? How come that's not recorded in American history? The mound cities and all this other stuff. Answer: because they know our people did it. And that would have to debunk the whole we came from Africa, they brought us from Africa in chains and all this other nonsense. When in actuality, they took our people from America and took them to the Caribbean, took our people into Africa and things like that. So they actually told the story in reverse. Shout out to Dane Calloway for pointing that out. Shout out to Dane Calloway, Kareemio, the brother Salam. I got to get your name, brother. You do some good work. It's a new brother out there's putting work out, and I like the fact that he gets straight to the point. So I'm not afraid to shout out people who know the history, have studied the history, because again, history or, past accounts are very important in us moving forward to the future. Because y'all used to see me all the time. I was always talking about mental-ect and who we are as the Amen race, which that still is the highest point of knowledge. Who we are as a race of people, a real race separate from the human race. That is real, but our indigenous heritage the account of our indigenous heritage has to come out. And who we are as the Americans by nationality, because we are American by nationality. This government is allowing white people and other races of people to call themselves American just because they came here and they squatted here in America. Again, anybody could be a Native American. Anybody. If you have a generation or two of people that's born here in America, after you come from someplace else, that make you a native. You can just automatically claim native. You see, anybody could be a native. You could be a Native of America from Africa. That don't mean nothing. Y'all ain't saying nothing calling yourself Native Americans. You see? So, again, they don't want us to know that our people built those pyramids. And a lot of these black, I told you, a lot of these Pan-African leaders and all these Egyptology guys and these Kemetic science guys, they don't talk about that either. You see, I'm more amazed at what our people did here in the Americas, because we did so much here in America before slavery, before the white man came into America, before the Mongoloids came in from Mongolia and started vulturing our culture. Nah, man, we got too much to know, too much to learn. And again, don't let them trap us off in Africa, because that seems like, what the route they want to go with this. So, off topic, I asked a question, and this is about money again. This is about money. Why are people out here committing crimes and working hard, killing themselves just to pay bills? Remember I said that, I understand people need money, and I had to really keep examining this. Why are people killing themselves, working hard, committing crimes, risking their freedom to go to jail just to pay bills? Trying to rob and steal from people, doing crooked and corrupt things and whatnot, just to pay bills. Just to pay bills. Just to give you that money that you working so hard for to somebody else. And they're just going to recycle it around. I'm like, damn. You really want to be in the system that bad? I understand that the system, you have to survive in the system. I get that. But that's all you're really doing is surviving in the system. All you're really doing is paying bills. More money you got, more bills you got. You do know that. I realized that quickly. Once I started having children and wives and all this other stuff, which I can take care of, no problem. But more money you get, more money you acquire, and more bills you acquire. So when people up there talking about, you doing this for the money and money this and money that, and he trying to hustle for money, I'm like, we just paying bills. Even when you see a guy driving around in a nice car and whatnot, nigga driving around a nice Rolls Royce or whatever, that's a car note, man. Or even if he buy it outright, that's still a bill, man. You got to put gas in it, right? You got to maintain it. You got to pay your insurance. You got to pay. It's all a bill, man. Even if you ain't buy it outright, you got to pay your lease. You got to pay all that's a bill, man. Whether you buy a home, you paying rent, or you paying a mortgage, or if you don't got to pay none, you bought it outright, you paying property tax. So everything is a goddamn bill. Everything. That's why I said that's why the money's called dollar bills. They're for bills. But people go crazy over it. People are willing to kill for it, shake people's lives over it. People are focused on that. That's a heavy program on the people. And again, I understand. I pay bills. I get it. But I'm not willing to kill nobody or hurt nobody or harm nobody or break any laws to get money to pay bills. That's just insanity. That's insanity. You're going to break laws just to pay bills. Make that make sense to me. Man, this society's gone, man. You got these guys up here. Remember these guys used to do the ATM, the ATM little shuffle. You guys get the little paper money. All right. You get your little paper money and you guys be rapping, you throwing the paper out like this and throwing the paper out like that, and you really think that's something, and it's nothing. That's nothing to be proud of, that you got some money. Anybody can get money. If you got half a brain, anybody can make money. If you got half a brain. You just got a lot of lazy people out here who, instead of using their brain, to make money for themselves and make a living for themselves, instead of using their brain, they commit crimes, because that is truly a brain dead thing to commit crime. You go out and sell drugs, and like I said, I dabbled in that years ago. I dabbled in the drug business years ago, right, in the 90s, right, and I was a damn fool. I was a goddamn fool, and thank God I didn't lose my freedom behind that, or my life. Because I was out here hustling. You couldn't tell me now, I had stacks of money in my pocket, but the way that money came into my pocket, just as fast as it came, as fast as it went. I was on like a hamster on a wheel, man, just running on a wheel. I wasn't rich, but I was well off and doing what I was doing, but I was risking my freedom. I was risking, I wasn't getting no sleep. I was risking my freedom. I had to walk around carrying a pistol, all that shit, man. I've been through all that, man. So my mind, I tell you little young guys who may still be doing that, go start a YouTube channel. Go do something, get a hustle or something. Go start a YouTube channel like a lot of these little young kids doing, which I applaud a lot of you little young kids who start these YouTube channels and trying to get views and likes and monetizing your channel. I applaud you for doing that. I'd rather you be doing that than gang banging, robbing, stealing, selling drugs, or working some BS job somewhere. And, nah, man, you just figure out something interesting to talk about. People will patronize that. And that's fine. I like that. There's make films, do things, all kinds of things. The beautiful thing about this internet is it is a cash cow. It is an enterprising cash cow. I make my money online. So, so many things you can do. So many things you can do to make money. You ain't got to commit crimes out here. This society, they want you to commit crimes because they hustle is locking you up. They want, the government wants you little young black people to commit crime. They want y'all to commit crime. They love pulling you out of your car. They love sending out their race soldiers, state police to pull you out of cars and beat your ass or put a bullet in you. They love that, or throw you in jail for 10 years or so, like give you a record and whatnot. And like I said, they have a whole enterprise, a whole penal system that feeds on criminality, that applauds criminality, that gives leeway to criminality. But you don't see it because people are desperate. And when you're desperate, you do desperate things. You commit crimes and things like that. And again, to me, like I said, money ain't worth my damn freedom. You crazy as cat shit. All you guys is out here selling drugs and everything, and hustling, gangsters, all you gangsters, black and white and everything else. Let me tell you something. I don't look up to none of you guys. I just look up to the mafia guys, the Cosa Nostra people. Sometimes I'll watch their channels and stuff like that. Everybody got caught up in that whole mafia thing, the Cosa Nostra. But I mean, damn, man, them guys, they live a miserable life, man. Them guys live a miserable life, man. You never know. I'm like, how do you look up to these people in their life? You never know. And I'm just speaking on that. I'm like, I watch a few of these guys' podcasts on there. I watch a lot of this different stuff. And I'm like, these guys who ratted and left their mafia families and whatnot, and became rats. I'm like, y'all live a miserable life. How do you even call it a life? How do you do that? You got to worry about your people crossing you, your own people killing you, people informing on you, the cops locking you up forever. Money just ain't worth that. Money just ain't worth that to me. You got to sacrifice being away from your children, things like that. That's crazy to me. All right. But whatever. People learn as they go. A lot of them guys, they turned into rats and whatnot, as they say, and they had to eat the cheese. These guys, eventually you're gonna eat the cheese. If you out here in the world, I don't care. Let me tell you something about that snitching thing. Let me tell you something, man. It's easy to talk about people being rats and snitches and I want to see paperwork. Oh, listen, man. A lot of you niggas that's talking that shit, man, let me tell you something. At the white man, if you face with 30 or 40 years, them niggas tell it. Okay? Only a few people might stick to that code, but very few. And a lot of them guys, they only gonna stick to it because half the time they ain't nobody to tell them. You know what I'm saying? Some guys might stick to that, but a very few, you put 40, 50 years in somebody's face, they tell them. They cooperate. They gonna tap out. Nobody want to sit in no cage for no 40, 50 years. And the government know that. They know that's cruel and unusual punishment. Have you sitting in a cage, you can't even see your family. That's hell, man. For 40, 50 years. Then you're going to come home after doing 35, 40 years. That's crazy, man. All for what? To pay bills? My point exactly. Everybody just paying goddamn bills. I don't care how rich you are, how much money you got, you just paying bills. Right. Why are people out here committing? Well, I just touched on that. I touched on this file. Now I'm going to revisit this again. The real reason why you see a lot of these Native Americans, these so-called Native Americans, people who classify themselves Native Americans, the reason why they're so angry and upset now with our people standing up for their American indigenous heritage. And again, I don't buy into the whole black American thing, the black indigenous. Nah, no black nothing, man. We American indigenous people, man. American indigenous. That's who we really are. American indigenous or just American. By nationality. That's who we are. American nationals. American. Nobody else got the right to call themselves American but so-called black people. So-called people who are falsely being called African American. And I'm going to get into that in a second. All right, but real reason why I said these Native Americans are mad because, you know, for the longest time they went unchallenged. Nobody challenged them as, you know, to who they were. Nobody checked them. Hell, the white man got so comfortable, he was sending all these these pretendians out here, putting these pretendians in movies, putting on lace front wigs and putting dark makeup on their face and, you know, all this crazy stuff and calling themselves Indian. And I noticed the so-called natives, I ain't never said nothing about that. You never said nothing about Iron Eyes Cody. You ain't said nothing about that white girl Sashona, Yellowfin, whatever the hell she called herself. All these fake pretendians out here who were actually Caucasians who are perpetrating a fraud. My question is, why don't y'all never have no smoke for the white man when he's sitting up here putting on feathered head crowns, these Caucasians? Because y'all claim that's y'all culture and you claim you don't like when we do it. Y'all claim y'all had a problem with Pharrell. Remember I said when Pharrell Williams posed with the indigenous Indian head crown on, the feathered head crown, which y'all call a war bonnet. You act like you had a problem with that. Right? You had a problem with them putting Pharrell on Elle magazine with that feather head. Now, if he was a white boy, that was Ethan Hawke or some Caucasian who did that with the feathered head crown. You know, some of these $5 Indians, these pretendians, you would have had no problem with that. But Pharrell Williams, a real American indigenous, he looked more American indigenous than anybody. Pharrell Williams, he's an Indian. That's an American indigenous person right there. He got to be right to wear that feathered head crown. All y'all had a problem with that. You know why you had a problem with that? Because you know that y'all know that once our people start claiming that, y'all gonna get mad because it's really no place for y'all to go. It's really nothing for you to debunk. And I said this before, if you feel as though, you know, y'all getting this heat in your chest and you getting an attitude without people claiming who we are as the real American indigenous, which we are, then why don't y'all ever debate it? Why don't you ever debunk it? All I heard was, oh, y'all need to stop trying to hate your culture. No, I don't want to hear that shit, man. We don't want to hear you trying to guilt trip us into being African Americans like the scam Africans do. We don't want to hear that shit no more. Oh, you don't love, no, we don't love African culture because it's not our culture. How about that? No, we don't love African culture because it's not our culture. And let me say this. If it was, I would be like, hey, we are African. Okay, and what? Huh? For truth's sake, if that was true, I'd be like, yeah, we are African. But we're not. And like I said, for the longest time, y'all went unchallenged. It's like how these Latinos, like Fat Joe, you know, It's really Fat Joe all over. It's really Fat Joe is really like those Mongoloid Indians all over again. Fat Joe is a culture vulture. You see, he a white boy. Fat Joe's a white boy. He told you he got blonde hair and green eyes. And if you look at him, he got the Asian, he got slanted eyes like an A. He's Mongolian, man. But he was living around so-called black people, like Tariq Nasheed pointed out. Now they using him, they putting him on BET, which is not owned by black people, and they making Fat Joe like he's a pioneer of hip hop, right? So that's just a white man again transferring our culture and our heritage and which is part of it, is our music over to other people, to these Latinos, these white Latinos, because that's what Fat Joe is. He's a white Latino. But when he want to use the word nigga, then all of a sudden I got a black grandmother, I got a black this, I got a black that. So you could have the exclusive rights to the fact to use the word the N-word, but you never said you was black. You just claim you got a black abuela, a black grandma, whoever, somebody in your family black, whatever. But you look more like a white man than anything. That's what a lot of these Latinos do. A lot of them, you know, they like to switch it up when they around so-called black people. Oh, I got black in my family. Or, oh, I ain't black when they around white people. I'm Spanish. You know, y'all white when you're around. You use it. You call yourself Don Cartagena. That's an Italian thing. So you choose want to be Italian. The real Latinos are the Italians. The real Latinos are the Italians. The Latin people, the Caucasian, those Greeks and Italians, those are the real Latin people, but y'all call yourself Latinos, right? Call yourself Taino Indian. We already seen who the real Taino Indians is from Jamaica. The real Taino Indians are Jamaican. Busta Rhymes would be a Taino, okay? And you Busta Rhymes, cut this shit out about your culture and all this other stuff. So we ain't got no culture. Our culture is American indigenous culture, nigga. Knock it off. Just like yours is. You West Indian. We North American Indians. Y'all West Indians. We Indians. Knock it off. Ain't no Africans here. Where's African culture at? You can't trace nothing we did here in America back to Africa. Not the music, not the rituals, nothing. Everything here that we did in America is homegrown here in America. We don't got no African origins. None. And absolutely none. Unless you want to buy into that lie that we all came from Africa, and the only way we got all around the world is because the white man dragged us all around on slave ships. Stop it. Stop. That's cap. Lies. Again, they got mad because we challenging the whole American indigenous thing now. We ain't staying in our place as black Africans like they would like. We ain't staying in our place no more. And that pissed them off. You know, they was happy with the white man calling us African American and Negroes. They was happy with that. And let me tell you something, Lyle. We already know a lot of you natives are racist against so-called black people. You racist against us. A lot of you are. Because you know the truth. A lot of you know the truth. And you don't want us to find that out. Right? Y'all are part and parcel right with the so-called white man. That's really the reason why the white man can live on the res. These Caucasians can live on the res and call themselves Indians. But y'all supposed to hate the so-called white man. According to what y'all say he did to y'all. But y'all don't. You'll never get them smoke about wearing the more bonnet. You never get them smoke about it. I don't hear nothing. You never get on these Caucasians for claiming to be natives. Never. Even that, and somebody was showing this picture of a so-called Native American on a dollar bill. And it was the funniest thing in the world. I saw it on Facebook. Somebody was showing some proposed image of a so-called Native American on the dollar bill. And I was perplexed by that because I'm like, why are you honoring Native Americans? Again, no disrespect, but let's just be for real. Black people built this country. Indigenous, copper-colored people built this country. Off of the backs of our labor, slave labor built this country. Cotton, tobacco, people harvesting and growing it and other things, food and everything else built this country. The people that cleared the goddamn forests and trees was our people. Y'all didn't do nothing. Y'all live on these lands. All these lands were cleared out. The Carolinas, all like the trees cut down. The ships were being built here in these country, in this country because we were the ones clearing the land, clearing the timber. You see, we cleared the land. We built the buildings. We built the plantation. We built the White House. What did y'all do? What did y'all do? Other than just scavenge and live off the land. What did you do? I mean, I really want to know, because people get a bug up their ass when we ask the question, how you get to be considered indigenous people. What did you do to build this civilization up? What did you do to be honored? Make it make sense to me. We actually built this country. So-called black people's labor built this country. Yeah, it was the white man who had his hand on the whip and making it happen, pushing us to do it, but it still don't matter. We are just as much founding fathers of every and anything. We are the first founding fathers because it was already a country before the white man got here. All we did is help them build up their enterprise. That's all we did. But there was already a country here. There were already many tribes here, many indigenous tribes here. Y'all just came in as Johnny come latelys later. As the Mongolians, y'all came in and y'all came in as indentured people, and y'all came with the white man and he brought you with him, and y'all just started just copying the people. That's what you do. That's what people do whenever they come to a land where there's indigenous people. They start to either bring their own culture or they start to copy the culture of the people. We already seen that y'all didn't have that so-called Native American culture in Mongolia where you come from. You didn't have it. So where did it come from? Where did the feathered head crowns? That wasn't in Mongolia when y'all came over here. Y'all didn't bring your culture with you. You adopted the culture that was already here from the indigenous bronze copper colored peoples who are falsely being called African American today. That's what you did. That's what you did. Like how you Latinos, you come over here and y'all was like, pointy toe shoes and the cha-cha-cha and all this other stuff. Then all of a sudden now y'all hip hop. You ran fades in your hair. Yo, my nigga this and yo, my nigga that. That's what the Indians did. That's what the Pretendians did. They just started becoming us. When you moved around us, you started copying us. Now you're trying to act like you brought out hip hop. Y'all don't see it's the same cycle all over again, claiming our stuff for themselves and trying to push us to the side. And I say we partly to blame for that because we don't stand up for who we are as the American indigenous people. We don't. We sit up here trying to fit into some fake African American nonsense, trying to believe in the white man that we came from someplace else. No, we did not. We was always here. We was always here. We watched white people come here to this country. We watched the Mongolians come here, crossing the Bering Straits in South and Central America. We watched y'all make the cross over into this country. We watched you, and we recorded it. It's on the bone and punk temples. See, y'all don't want to go that far back. You don't want to. You don't want us to prove it to you. I will never hear you. I want to see one of you so-called Native American scholars challenge Dane Calloway. I want to see a debate with Dane Calloway and one of you Native American scholars, or a debate with Kareem Ahawal, or this brother who's, oh man, so many channels. I want to see a debate. Since y'all saying y'all the real indigenous people of this land, I want to see a debate. That's what I want to see. And y'all bring y'all facts and y'all proof, and let these people bring their facts and proof. Call out people like that. I want to see it. Y'all ain't going to do that though. Y'all wasn't there because y'all going to get embarrassed. And y'all got to bug up your ass because all you could do is sit up here at this point and just call names. Or why you don't trying to guilt us into being African like the scam Africans. They trying, like Umar and them was trying to guilt us into being African. Man, fuck out of here with that, man. Let's see. On to another topic. MCs of rap versus MCs of hip hop. I've always said that what's being called hip hop today has morphed into a lot of different things. You had MCs who were actual rappers, meaning, because from the term rap meaning to talk to somebody. Like you say, I'll rap to this girl, and rap is another way of saying talk, right? So you had your first MCs who were more lyrical, were more storytellers. I would consider you an MC like Slick Rick, right? KRS-One. Those are rap MCs. You see, MCs are rap MCs. The storytellers, the people who are not rhyming for the sake of just rhyming. People who are actually telling a story that you could follow and, and go with. That's what I'm talking about. Those are MCs of rap. KRS-Ones, Nas. But you got some guys who could switch up. Like, but pure MCs of rap music, again, I like pure rap MCs. Guru from Gang Starr, which he is terribly underrated. Terribly underrated. Guru from Gang Starr, I put him as one of my top 6. My top 6 I had up there was Guru, Rakim, Grand Poobah, who else? Guru, Rakim, Grand Poobah, Slick Rick, Nas. Yeah, I think that was the 6. I think that was the 6. I said KRS-One. No, I don't think I missed nobody. Yeah, but those was my top 6. And I said I liked them because they were good storytellers. You see, something you could follow. And then later on, it became MCs of hip hop. Hip hop became just guys rhyming just for the sake of rhyming. You got a lot of guys out here who would just be rhyming, just saying anything just to rhyme, and And I mean, I guess that's okay. I mean, I didn't really follow it. A lot of the guys who wasn't really telling the stories, like I said, it was Guru, Rakim, Grand Poobah, Slick Rick, KRS-One, and Nas. Those were my top 6, right? And they were very versatile, and they could switch up. Like a lot of these guys who became MCs, like hip hop and whatnot, who was just rhyming just to be rhyming. Yeah, a lot of groups out there. Yeah, Wu-Tang and all of them. They was more like, again, no disrespect to them, but it was more like MCs or like hip hop. They wasn't really storytellers like that. I mean, I heard a little bit, but not really. Just making a point of that, because now it's morphing into this thing called drill and trap, which I want to get. Drill and trap has nothing to do with black people at all. Drill and trap is music that's noise that was created by record companies. Drill and trap music is nothing but noise that was created by Caucasians at these white record companies, because you could see that that the drill and the trap music has no rhythm. It has no rhythm to it. It has no real cadence, no real rhythm. It's offbeat as hell. Because see, real music has rhythm to it. It has a beat to it. It has a rhythmic flow to it. All music, I don't care, jazz, R&B, rap, hip hop, all that has when this trap and drill music, that's how you know that's not all music. It's just these Caucasian record labels just basically, manufacturing clowns to jump up here and say anything. And got this young generation following. Because I told you, they're trying to push this young generation to follow the influence of being ignorant sounding, sloppily, unkept and ignorant sounding. Because every time I turn around, I see all these young boys out here. Nobody goes to the damn barber anymore. It seems like nobody goes to the damn barber shop no more and gets a haircut. Everybody walking around their hair all wild and crazy, listening to this stupid ass trap and drill music. And I mean, it sounds terrible. It sounds like somebody recorded that shit in the toilet, in the bathroom somewhere. I'm like, y'all really like this for real? And again, I said it ain't got nothing to do with me being older or I don't understand. I know good music. Good music is good music is good music. I don't care what time it is. I don't care what year it is. Again, I like stuff from Ray Charles. Remember I said that? And Ray Charles was in the 50s. He way before my time. I was born in the 70s. So my thing is, that people are making garbage and trying to pass it off as music as a way to influence this generation to become garbage. And that's unfortunately what I'm seeing. Man, put down the drill and trap. Stop your children from listening to that garbage, man. These guys ain't talking about nothing any goddamn way. You see? All right. Let me see. All right. Who are the only ones who got the right to call themselves American by nationality? Who, in other words, when they talk about American men and American women, who are the only ones that got the right? I'm going to say this one more time because I got to reiterate this. We are American only. When you talk about the American man, you're talking about the so-called black man, period. When you talk about the American woman, you're talking about the so-called black woman, period. No one else can call themselves American by nationality but us, because we're the only ones who didn't come from someplace else. This whole African thing, slave trade, we came from Africa, is a lie. It is a lie. Where are the slave ships? Where are the slave ships that you brought all these people on? Where are the slave ships? And we already showed where y'all brought people from America into Africa. Again, there was no African slave ships. There was no African nothing. This was an Indian slave trade. We got the records. We got the receipts. We got the journals of the indigenous people being enslaved. That's us. That is not the so-called Indians, because they'll tell you the so-called Native Americans, I'll tell you they was never enslaved. They'll tell you that. They'll tell you they were never enslaved. They've never shown you any Native Americans being enslaved. So when they making reference to the Indian slave trade or the Indian slave trade, what are they talking about? The so-called natives, they proud to say we've never been enslaved by the white man. Yeah. Okay. So then who are the Indians they talking about? They're not African. They didn't say African. They said Indian slave trade. So who are those Indians? That's my question. Who are those Indians? Who are those Indians who were being traded in slavery? You see, wasn't y'all, so who was it? Wasn't the Africans, because they would have said these were Africans. They call these Indians. But when we proved that the word Indian was synonymous with Negro, and that the term nigger from the 1582 Oxford Dictionary is the word nigger, which comes from the word niggardly, stingy. Nigger is connected to the Indian or the American indigenous people. The word nigger was applied to the American indigenous people. You Native Americans never been called niggers. You've never been called niggers. So who are they talking about? They're talking about us, the real American Indians. All right. My next question is, now if the so-called Native Americans are indigenous to America, then why are they getting reparations like immigrants? You do know this government only helps immigrants. It does not help indigenous people. No government helps indigenous people. Okay? No government helps indigenous people. Not this government. This government don't help indigenous people. This government helps immigrants, because the first immigrants that this country helped was white people, the Europeans who came over here. They were the first immigrants that was helped. And now you see, then all of a sudden, then they start giving the so-called Mongoloid Native Americans land and money and things like that, right? And then you start seeing all these other people that's coming over here getting help and things like that, coming from different countries or whatever the case may be. They're able to get some kind of aid as immigrants or whatever the case may be. But so-called black people don't get nothing. The people that actually built this country off their backs, off of slave labor, get nothing, right? But the people who did nothing to contribute to this country, who did nothing to build this country, because again, they always try to go, oh, well, how do you think the Native Americans feel about having their land taken? They never had no land taken from them because they didn't even believe in owning land. How you going to have something taken from you when you don't even believe you owned it? That whole ownership thing only came now because America is where America is, and they got mad. They kept getting pushed from territory to territory because they were always a traveling band. They didn't never live and like actually set up on a land and build homes and farmland. They didn't do that because if they did, nobody would have had to teach them how to farm. They always lived on the outskirts. We were the ones living on the land, building and farming, the indigenous people that did that. And the government just came in and took our land from us, and a lot of our people forced into slavery because, you know, they were basically told that, well, you ain't gonna be able to eat off the land, you ain't gonna be able to do nothing, we're gonna take all of it. So what was we forced to do but work for Caucasians? The government forced us into slavery because we couldn't, we didn't need none of his money, because it sounded stupid that they would offer you money. Why would they offer you money? You see, if they're gonna take your land, what are they offering you money for? And you didn't even believe you owned land. Some of this nonsense. Oh, he gave me $24 for we gave me some paper currency for a whole island. Really? Right? Because the white man wanted to seem as though he was doing the right thing. In other words, if you didn't want to take the money, you was gonna get your brains blown out. You're gonna get killed, and they were gonna take your shit anyway. They call that today eminent domain. Yeah, that's called eminent domain today, by the way. Yeah, the government wants your land. You know, which you don't really own no land, because once it's a government here, They could take your land because, again, if you owned it, you ain't got to pay taxes on it. Okay? The fact that you got to pay taxes on your own land means you don't own the land. They could come in, if you miss your taxes or whatever, they could just take your land. This is just something they go with. And they did that. And again, a society that's set up on crookedness, on theft and murder and whatever, all the evils that went with forming this society called the United States of America. Like I said, they don't abide by any treaties. They don't abide by any rules or law. They don't abide by any of that. They broke them all the time, just like they do today. They liars. These people are liars, man. They don't have no goddamn integrity. The people that run the society have no integrity whatsoever, and their founding fathers had less than zero integrity. Bunch of animals, man. Is it time for American indigenous people to create a new type of music? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. We are creative people. We always create music, man. And that's coming. A new music is coming. I feel it. Even if I got to be the catalyst for it, a new music is coming. And it's not going to be rap music. It ain't going to be hip hop. We've been there. We've done that. You know, we need to create a new music. That's why I told y'all, young generation out there, y'all need to learn how to get into instruments again. Play drums again. Play guitars. Play bass guitar. Learn the basics. Learn how to play instruments again, man. You know, stop letting other people come. We come from a rich heritage with music and dance and things like that. We just a different people. Rhythmically, soulfully, we just a different people. So we need to start accentuating that in the creation of a new music. And we're going to bring a new music. I started tinkering around with a new kind of music my damn self. So, you know, shout out to all of those who brought different levels to music. I call all these people music pioneers. The music pioneers like George Clinton, like Prince, like Little Richard, like who else? Ray Charles. There's a lot of music pioneers out there. Berry Gordy, you know, people who brought different sound. When Earth, Wind, and Fire, all these different sounds. And those who are, you know, James Brown. All we got such heavy hitters. And then when that rap music came around, people changed it up. Rakim, and the Run DMCs, and you know, all the people that brought, you know, different, you know, levels to the music. It's time for a regeneration of music, because this next generation needs a different type of music. You young guys need to learn how to play instruments. You need to learn how to sing for real and continue the soul going forward. Because right now, y'all looking real raggedy out here with this trap and drill bullshit. So, again, with the Native Americans, I gotta go back to this again. Today's Native American, the people who call themselves Native American, let's just be for real, man. They Caucasians, man. They Caucasian and Asians mixed. They Asian/Caucasians. How are you calling yourself Native Americans or claiming you indigenous to the country when you can clearly see that you people are Asian and Caucasian mixed? What else are you other than Asian and Caucasian? So if I'm pointing out two continents that you come from, or Europe, which is Europe, and Asia, which is where you originate from, how are you indigenous to America? If I can point to where your people come from, which means you came from someplace else. You came from someplace else. It has already been proven that the oldest people here in America are bronze, copper-colored people, indigenous, so-called black people who are not African. Stop telling this lie that all so-called black people come from Africa. The so-called Africans of Africa, the tribal Africans, they're not Negroes. Negroes was a terminology that was created here in America for the American indigenous people, just like the word nigger. We already know the history. Y'all not going to sit up here and lie to us or lie to the world no more. We're just going to have to bring it out, man. Right? I'm almost done. Be done in a few more. I'm going to close it out. You know, I just want to hit y'all with a shot of reality here, because it is sadly being missed here on YouTube and a lot of other things. I watch YouTube for the most part. I don't even watch TV no more. Rarely will you ever see me watching TV. But, I watch a lot of YouTube. And I like a lot of what I see on this. Some of the stuff I like what I see, and some of the stuff I don't like what I see. I see a lot of BS, a lot of lies, a lot of black nonsense, a lot of Pan-African, pro-black BS, a lot of native BS, a lot of Caucasian BS, just a lot of BS from everybody, a lot of BS. So again, I'm about the truth. I'm not about black. I'm not about white. I'm about what's right. I'm not about black or white. I'm about right. What's right? What's correct? And if white people are correct in something, I'm going to say it. If black people are correct, I'm going to say it. If none of y'all are correct, I'm going to say it. So please, those of you who watch, don't paint me as a racist, because I'm not racist at all. I'm just a realist. Man. Most of these people who call themselves Native American, they Asian and Caucasian. Why are y'all afraid to admit y'all heritage and where y'all come from? You claim that we ashamed of our African roots, and we don't even have no African roots. We can prove that. Why are you ashamed of your Asian and Caucasian roots, you so-called natives? Why are you ashamed to admit that you connected to the Mongolians? Why y'all want to hide that part of your existence? Because again, because nobody can point us to West Africa. They can't. They cannot. Trust me. If we really were from so-called Africa or West Africa, the white man claimed he know exactly where he took our people from. Why he didn't send us back? That would have been easy. Y'all would have had your white country like you wanted, right? Why didn't he make every so-called black person who came from Africa just deport them into West Africa? Let all the so-called black people leave and go to Africa. Put them on boats, ships, and give them this amount of money, whatever, technology, whatever, and just go ahead. And that way you got America free and clear. Why didn't they do that? Why didn't they do that? They didn't even attempt to do that. They did that with, they did that. Let me say, they did it with the West Indies, but West Indies, and they did it in the creation of Liberia. All right, they did that in the creation of Liberia. But we didn't come from Liberia. Why did you have to send people to Liberia? Why didn't you just send them back to West Africa? Why would you have to create a whole nother place in Africa for people who didn't even come from that space? Why didn't you just send them back to West Africa? Answer, because they didn't come from there. You just started just making up places just to send. You just wanted to get niggas out of America. That's all. You wanted to get the indigenous people out of America so you could take their place. Just say that. Stop the cap. Stop the bullshit. We didn't come from no Africa. You just wanted to transport us out of here, some of our people, so that they could go and you could start trying to become American yourself and replace us. Right along with your mongoloid buddies. Jig is up, man. The jig is up. And they mad, we know now, and we putting it on internet. They mad now. I already touched on their hatred for us because we exposing everything. And again, for the longest time, they didn't have no competition. Now they do. They got people who debunking them and they ain't backing down. And coming with receipts. That really hurt. Because they all they could come with is shame. Why y'all don't want to be African? What, you don't like your African heritage? You black? I see them all on these Instagram things. They coming on here minding other people's business and whatnot. You ain't coming to debunk shit. All you coming to do is troll. And tell us we not the real indigenous Americans. Man, get out of here with that, man. And my last thing, before I close out, concerning God and Jesus. Is God and Jesus white? Is God and Jesus white? Now, why do I ask this question? Because I'm going to get two different answers. I'm going to get from the pro-blacks who are into God and Jesus, the black Christians, or the Israelites. They'll say, oh yeah, Jesus and God, they really are. They black, they're not white. Yahweh and Yahweh Shai is black and white. They can come in with the Israelite names. Or people will say, oh, it don't matter if you're black or white. And Michael hit you with the Michael Jackson BS. It don't matter if you're black or white, whatever. If it didn't matter, they would have never put a picture up. So the answer to the question is, yeah, Jesus and God are white. Jesus is white. God is white. Which is why we shouldn't be following Jesus and God. You follow what I'm saying? You know what sparked me to touch on this? Because somebody put up a post and they showed an Asian boy, and his God was Buddha, looked like him. Which even though the original Buddha was a so-called black man, but that's a whole other topic. The so-called black man, Buddha was a so-called black man before they turned him Asian. You had the Asian kid who was looking up to Buddha. You had the East Indian kid who was looking up to Krishna or wherever their God is. And you had the white kid looking up to white Jesus. And then when you got to the black kid, he's looking up to white Jesus as well. And they was like, well, wait a minute there. Yeah. The whole point was to push a foreign God and a foreign Christ over our people and promote them as white so that we would worship the image of white people or Caucasian people. That was the whole point of doing that. Yeah, and they created a God for them to follow. That's not who we follow. That's not who we're supposed to be following. We're not supposed to be putting up any pictures because y'all were taught to believe that this God and this Jesus are the real Most High and all this other stuff. And they're the true this, that, and the third. So this is why y'all wanted to follow God and Jesus, and you ignored the fact that they don't look like you. But here it is. Look, think about who gave you that God and Jesus to follow. Think about who gave you God and Jesus to follow. The same people that was whipping the skin off your back, the same people that was calling you nigger, the same people that was who burned crosses on your lawn, the same Caucasians gave you white Jesus and God to worship so that you could worship their image. That's really why they gave it to you. That was meant because you're going to think to yourself, and it literally puts the fear of God in you, because if they do something to you, you'll let it go. But you won't think to do nothing back to them because you're going to start to think immediately, I can't do nothing to the people of God. Jesus is white. I can't do. That's really why a lot of you so-called black people, you don't retaliate when Caucasian people to this day do something to you. You don't do nothing to them because you still think you're seeing the children of God and Jesus. That's really what's in the back of your mind. That's what they pushed that they needed to program you to do. They took the image of white Jesus and God all over Africa and to all these dark nations, as they say, so that you could worship the image of the so-called white man. That's what that was for. They don't give a damn about no God, no Jesus. They don't even believe in God and Jesus. That was just to program you to. That's all. So, no, we don't follow white God or Jesus. Whether you want to make him black, we ain't following no black Jesus or no black God. No, the Lord is Amen, and there's an Amen Ray being raised in the image of Amen. That's it, man. We got any questions? Any questions? Because I don't look at your questions. I'm sorry, I'm about to close it out. We got any questions? Let me see if we got any questions. Huh? Okay. One of my lovely wife is checking for your questions. I want to remind you that we're doing on October 22nd here in New York, we're doing the American Indigenous Conference here at Restoration Plaza at 1326 Fulton Street. Sunday, October 22nd, which is next week. I'm going to be there speaking on it. For those who want to attend, please give my assistant, Mr. Lanier Minjaz, a call at 718-510-3769. Again, 718-510-3769. Those of you, the bronze copper colored people who want to know what your true heritage and origin is as American indigenous people, as the real American Indians, come on out to the conference. It's free. I'm not charging anybody. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing it to, repair the minds of our people and grow our real community, which is supposed to be the American indigenous community, not no African American community. So the hell with that. Again, check with my assistant, Mr. Lanier Minjaz, 718-510-3769, and reserve your seating and give them your name, your contact. And again, we're not going to allow any foolishness in there. If any of these Pan-Africans want to come, you can come. You can ask questions respectfully, but we're not going to tolerate no foolishness in there. We're going to have security there, so I'm letting you know my people are thorough, and they will do what they got to do to stop any nonsense and foolishness for people who can't control their emotions or whatever the hell going through you. But any questions there? Okay, that's good. That's good. No questions. We had a relatively good night. Please share. Please subscribe. Like I said, it's all about giving real knowledge, the real skinny, the real raw and uncut truth. I'm doing my broadcast tonight, American Intelligence Radio at 10 on American Intelligence Radio Blog Talk. Nuga Minkari's American Intelligence, so check that out. Also, check out and subscribe to or become a patron of mine on MENTELLECT Patreon. Set up my MENTELLECT Patreon. We put all our broadcasts up there, plus a lot of bonus stuff I don't do on Blog Talk. So subscribe to MENTELLECT Patreon. It's only $15 a month. You get a raw and uncut, because I can't really say what I want to say. A lot of stuff. I'm held back here on this YouTube, man. I'm held back. I can't really say what I want to say, you know, because of the algorithms. And I got one page where my snippets are at for on here, over 30,000 people. But like I said, I don't got flagged so much on YouTube from hate speech. I ain't say nothing to hate nobody. See, because hate speech today is truth speech. Unfortunately, they you know, hate speech is code word for truth speech. And I'm also going to talk on why everything is so called politically correct. I can't say here. I'm gonna save that for Patreon, or I'll save it for one of my broadcasts. Subscribe to MENTELLECT Patreon. Subscribe to our sister, who's a member of the Republican American, Sister Enra Vanzetta. Sister Enra Vanzetta, Mentangelist. Subscribe to Sister Enra Vanzetta's Ethnic American channel. Subscribe to the Ethnic American channel. And, you know, again, MENTELLECT Patreon, and we got the woman channel coming. I'm not going to speak on that until it's set up. You know, I'm going to get more into that. But that's it. We're going to close out in the name of Amen, by the power of Amen. In Amen we trust, and Amen we think, and in Amen we continue forward forever. Again, subscribe. Good night.